Donbrothers is the thing that the Super Sentai franchise needed right now the most. That is stepping away from the template. A thing that, in my opinion, Donbrothers is doing right now amazingly. And I kind of believe that maybe Ultraman and Rider should really look at it. I really want to talk about the stuff that I really like about this season and kind of stepping away from like the bad. So I really want to talk just about the good and the stuff that I really like about this season for at least now. The thing that, in my opinion, kind of impressed me the most is we didn't got a Megazord fight each and every episode. There were episodes that just finished. We never got a Megazord fight. Sometimes we did get it, but sometimes when we got a Megazord fight, it was, let's say, just a Momotaro on his bike fighting a train. Yeah, we did get 3 Megazord fights in the last 3 episodes, but weirdly now it kind of feels kind of different. It's kind of really cool. And even when they start to hype up to, let's say, the Ultra form for Don Momotaro, seeing it just being just as small as a toy, it's kind of cool and kind of funny. And the idea that they I not say semi worked from the Megazord, but having the Megazord, kind of the main Megazord, kind of not debut in the first episode and letting kind of the team, specifically as individuals, work and develop on their own, and then they kind of got the Megazord, is really interesting. I love the idea that the show kind of still keeps us in the dark and give us some little bits of details, and some little bits of details if it's being told, and when it's being told it feels like, oh, that's important, remember that kind of thing. And even if it's just visual, it feels important. It feels like, okay, remember that when something else comes up, kind of idea. And I really love it. I love that all of the characters are equally gets time to shine and gets time to develop. No real character is getting more development than the others. And we don't really see it a lot in Sentai. Most of the time it's all red. Maybe we're going to get silver or gold like the 6th Ranger. But now like we see kind of this idea of all the characters get development no matter what. And it's really cool. And the idea that none of the characters really knew each other until like episode really 14, and we got just in episode 13 we just got a 4-man transformation, is really interesting. Now I would dive in more character by character basis. I love Oni's. I love that Oni's sister is pretty much the protagonist of the show. It's kind of different. She is the eyes to this world and she kind of experienced everything with us, and she's not the little template of the Sentai girl, and I kind of like it. I like she's asking stuff and she's like not, okay, I'm fine with it. She asked Kaito how the hell he transformed, like why she's there, why she was chosen. She never gets her answer. She's very much still semi-written as an Inoue with a female character, but she still feels different to other female rangers, and that's great. I love Saru Brother as an interesting, arrogant, kind of into himself Blue. I like the idea that when he decided to boycott fighting with Don Momotaro, when he starts figuring out that Don Momotaro needs help, he was the first one to jump in and transform. So he's, arrogant and full of himself, but he still has a good heart and he still wants to fight. And it's kind of an interesting idea why he doesn't like materialistic things. Really, I love the haikus. The haikus are kind of fun, and getting each episode a new haiku is kind of a thing. I would probably Toei would release probably all the haikus when the season ends in a book. It's going to make a bunch of money. Inuran and Kiji brother are interconnected, and because of that I put them together kind of like one after another. Inu Brothers specifically is really interesting because he's the one left ranger that hasn't been revealed to the other team. So all the time when they go to transform or something happened, he always kind of breaks away from the team so he can transform on his own. The idea of him doing this crime that we still don't know, like even what the crime really is and how he is connected to the crime is really interesting. And the idea that Kiji and he are tied in with Kiji's wife slash Inu's ex-girlfriend is really cool. So yeah, Kiji, in my opinion, is the best character of the show. He feels like just a regular dude. He just feels like it. He feels like just a dude who just is just a regular salaryman who just caught up in this entire situation. The idea that he's newlywed with pretty much someone else's girlfriend just disappeared for some odd reason, and he truly believes she's out of his league and he's really trying to live up to her, and the idea that he wants to protect her in every cost, and kind of showing his real colors from the one episode that he got his promotion of pretty much being an asshole to everybody. And when they try to save one of the people that was Totsuki that kidnapped his wife, he didn't save him. He let him die. And kind of his wife, she is his crutch. It's the thing that would probably end going to turn him into Hitotsuki. And that's kind of going to be kind of an interesting idea, in my opinion. Don Momotaro. He's, in my opinion, next to Kiyama Red, Lupin Red, and Patron Ichigo. He's one of the best Reds we got in a long time. The idea that he is not really the main focus of the show, and we still don't know really a lot about him, is kind of interesting. The small backstory we did get about him is interesting. He can't lie is interesting. The idea that an entire town wanted him out of their town is unique. Knowing that he's a part of a royal family that were at least in the same world as the Natos makes it interesting. Is he a Nato? Maybe that's the reason he can't fly, with the entire idea that the Natos hate imperfections, and because of that they hate humans pretty much. Maybe because of that he's pretty much hardwired to not lie, and when he tries to lie he would die. I love his small little romance with Sononi. It's so much like Faiz, it's so much like Takumi and Kiba, and I love it, and I kind of wish it could have continued slightly longer. Now let's kind of go to way more of the supporting cast. Kaito is close to Don Momotaro of being one of the most interesting characters, because he's completely different than the Kaito from Zenkaiger, but he still has a Gantelinga and he has a Sentai gear, but it's not Kaito from that world. So how did he get the Gantelinga? How did he get the Sentai gear? How did he get the job of being the administrator for the Donbrothers? Like, everything about him is off, but in a good way. The way that he just doesn't really care, the way that he knows how to manipulate to the story, but pretty much to the path it should be. It's really interesting, and I would love to get more about that Kaito, because this actor shows that he's great. The actor shows his range from being hyped, very young leader, to serious, I am person that did this for a long time kind of character. Jin, and Don Momotaro's adoptive father, is really interesting. Like, we know how he got Don Momotaro. We know how he raised him. We don't know how he knows about the Totsuki or the Natos. Maybe he knows about the Judos too. We don't know how he got to that prison. Did he do something? Or was it like something that he chose to do? I love the Natos. The Natos are great. I love that they are very much anti-heroes, villains, because they do fight the same monsters that our hero fights, but they don't have the idea of the people that turn into an Itotsuki, they can redeem themselves. In their mind, when you turn into an Itotsuki, you can't be redeemed, so you need to die. That idea is great. I love the connection that they have with Don Momotaro. Again, the entire idea of, oh, the Don family wanted to live with the humans, and the Natos pretty much slaughtered the entire family except one 1 or 2 is kind of interesting. The idea that at least the 3 Natos that we get to meet having kind of interest in things that humans have. The idea that Tsunoni is interested in art, and because we see Tsunoni tries to draw a mountain, but he legitimately can't because he can't draw in perfection. The idea of Tsunosa having this infatuation with laughter is really cool. Tsunoni is really interesting with the idea that she's interested in love, but it's less kind of, oh, I'm pretty love. It's way more kind of like pure love. It's less about looks. It's way more about the feeling of love. And I kind of like their design. Their design is kind of really cool. It's a Rider Ranger hybrid that pays homage to a lot of other Toku heroes. The Itotsuki are really cool. I like their design. I like that all of them have the same kind of undersuit but different armor, and having the entire idea of them being way more of the anniversary aspect is really cool. And you know, having the entire idea of when a human turns into a Hitotsuki by a greed, most of the time it's semi-connected to the series that the Itotsuki is based on. It's really cool. The Juto are really unique fashion of villains, at least from the little bit we saw of them. We just saw 3 Jutos pretty much. One of them being the detective and being the bus driver, and the other being Inu's ex-girlfriend and Kiji brother's wife. So the idea that they just take over humans, and how much each and every class of Juto kind of have some sort of a different way that they control kind of the husk that is the human that they take over. You know, the fox one is very much beastly. You can see that they don't talk. The way they kind of most of the time kind of hunched over like a beast is interesting. And the idea that the crane is a lot more intelligent and he maybe talks, maybe Kiji brother's wife. That's really interesting, and I would hope to see if the entire idea of they cannot be killed is a thing of just fear mongering or it's actually true. I don't know. Here's the thing. I didn't talk about the Gold Ranger that's coming up next episode. He's very interesting, but right now I don't really know a lot about him to really talk. But he looks like, again, another step out of kind of the template idea of a 6th Ranger. Not much. I really wanted a different color, but yeah, Donbrothers is doing great. I hope that Donbrothers would continue to do as good as they're doing right now. I would propose to you to maybe subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.